This is AutoSave, the podcast that is a book club for gamers. This week, we're heading back to Nibelheim, and we have a little bit of everything. We have static, we have vampires, and we even have a Chris! This week, we're joined by our gameplay guru, Chris Zaiser, so enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to AutoSave. My name is Nick Andrade, and I'm here, as always, with my regular co-host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. And today we have a special guest, our gameplay guru, which is, I love that name, by the way, Chris Zaiser.
That was you that said that, I think. Way back when. You
Don't
mentioned...
give him credit.
I think you just nonchalantly dropped gameplay guru, and I said, you know what, I'm going to roll with it.
You should, because, you know what? I don't know if you're a guru after watching some of your gameplays last
time. Right off the bat, Nick. Oh
I might get that revoked. It might knock me down a couple levels. I have to repeat the 4th grade or something.
Nick's the worst.
No,
Nick's
listen, it's hard. It's hard out there. I'm sure I used to play the gameplay for our episodes back in the day. So Chris, I really appreciate you doing it now. Yeah. But looking back at my gameplay, I'm a terrible gamer anyway. So you're better than I am.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try.
Obviously, my gameplay was so high level, it wasn't even. They were like, "Whoa, we can't put that out there."
It's too good. It's too good. No. This is pro level.
Mm-hmm. I had played Call of Duty with you once, Cam, and you were pretty good.
Yeah,
you're pretty good. As we hit in a track for half
ages.
the game.
Yeah, Nick was just like, "Oh," and I was like, "Okay, I'll hide too. Let's do this."
Well, welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us here. As we continue our dive into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Today, we are covering Chapter 11, The Long Shadow of Shinra. But before we travel through the Nibel region, let's recap what happened last week.
Wow.
This is only the beginning.
A shooting star.
Planetology is not simply the study of the cosmos and the celestial bodies that dwell in it. Rather, it is a quest to comprehend the cyclical nature of life. Behold, the planet we call home. It was from its soil, so teeming with life, that mankind was born. And like all living things, man is fated to die. So, what happens next? The body withers and returns to the planet. But what of the mind, the spirit, the soul? Much like its former vessel, it too returns whence it came. The great river where all intertwine and circle the planet without end. A cycle of continuous convergence and divergence. The ceaseless ebb and flow that is the life stream.
So we traveled to Cosmo Canyon to get more of an understanding of the planet. But that wasn't just all we found. Red 13 is actually named Nanaki and is a teenager and faked his voice, which I don't remember from the original game, but hilarious that this is even a subplot. We found out how Red's father was petrified trying to protect the canyon, and this is where it got really confusing for me. We found ourselves fighting the ghostly Gi, who also asked us to please retrieve their black materia so they could finally let their souls be free. We also got another cutscene with Zack in the other dimension, or whatever that is. He meets up with Biggs. All that to say, today we travel to Nibelheim to find the whereabouts of the black materia. So, Chris, I have to ask you a question off the hop because Cam and I don't know what's happening. All right? At this junction of the game, did you have any idea or theory as to what this Zack timeline was. I know you finished the game, so
Yeah.
obviously just to what that point in the game you thought, like, what the hell was going on there?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. This was my first ever. I'm going to shock everyone right now. This is like breaking news. This was my first Final Fantasy game ever.
Wow.
So I had no clue. I still don't have a clue really what's going on. But in terms of Zack, everyone's going to laugh, but this is legit what was going through my mind. And I blame Marvel on this. I thought it was like Cloud, but like from a multiversal parallel universe. I thought it was like the same character because I'm like, he looks
Right.
the same. The only thing that's different is the hair. And then, of course, I didn't find out till later that, oh, no, he's actually a different guy. But yeah. You know what? I was excited, though. I wanted
Right.
to know what was going on with this guy.
Yeah. So there was intrigue for someone who hasn't played Final Fantasy before, intrigue into the story and what was happening, even though you were just as confused as all of us.
Still confused.
Well, I think that's what's interesting. It's like Nick and I, we've had experiences with Final Fantasy before, so like we're confused, Nick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm really like unfortunately I haven't taken into the perspective of like someone who hasn't played. Like we have here and there, we try not to spoil too much of like what we see, what we think's going to happen based on the original game. But oh gosh, Chris, hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was told to go back and play Remake. That might help a little bit. So I think I'm maybe going to do that. I thought it was fine with Rebirth, though, because I thought, well, Rebirth technically means like new. So I'm like, maybe I don't have to know anything. And apparently, no, that's not what happened here. So, boy.
That turns into my second question. Obviously, your experience with Final Fantasy is little.
Yeah.
So I ask now, what is your overall impression of Final Fantasy? Maybe before you dived into this game, what was your perception of the series?
It was definitely different than what it turned out to be. Like I was imagining, just these awesome sort of real-time strategy, fighting monsters, that sort of thing, which granted you do. Mm-hmm. The thing I wasn't expecting was figuring out what beachwear I needed or like checking into my hotel room. That was a vital part of Final Fantasy. I'm like, okay. And, deciding what everyone else should wear. So I'm like, how do I not be a creep about this? I'm just like, this one looks good. So that threw me off guard. And, I was like, am I playing the correct title? I had to double check, but I was. By the end of it, though, I'm like, you know what? This is what Final Fantasy is, and I accepted it. I'm like, this is where it's going. I kind of like it, though. Like, I got to play more. I have a couple more titles in my library that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start diving in. I don't know if there's really a good place to start, but I'm just like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's go for it.
Love it. Yeah, I remember one night, I think I was playing at some point Queen's Blood, and then I was doing Chocobo races. Then I was playing the Rocket League thing with Red or whatever. And my girlfriend turned to me. Thing. Yeah. She turned to me one night and she said, "What the hell kind of game is this?" Because there's just so many different things.
It's the every person's game, Like I feel like there is something in it for everyone. May take a while to get there. I think we kind of, I think last chapter or the chapter before that, or maybe all the ones before this, give it a little bit of flack because we're like, what is going on? I don't understand. Like, how are we so late in the game and we still have no idea? But maybe that works to their advantage because there's all these other mini games that like people who may not care about the story is just like, this is really fun.
There's so many.
Yeah.
My God. Okay. Rapid fire question of the day this time, which is, I just want to know, base level, what is your Final Fantasy character name and what specialty would you be? So what kind of like job would you be? My example here, I'd go with Nick Highwind. I'm the cousin of Sid from this game.
Oh, you would.
Yes, and I am a dragoon because that is my favorite Final Fantasy job. So Cam, go first.
Oh my
Off
gosh.
the top of your head, what would your name be?
I don't know, Nick. Like, this is, oh my gosh. I can't
That's
wait.
right, it's rapid fire.
No pressure.
What goes into a Final Fantasy name? Like, I know they're very, like, weird, but then Cloud's also very simple.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I kind of want to say Air, but we already have Aerith.
True.
Would that be your first name or your last name?
I think it'd be like Dana Air.
Oh wait, I think you like the name Dana. I forgot.
I like it because it's my middle name, Nick.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's why. That's why it's familiar to me. Whoops.
But it's like, you know, something where it's like partially like, oh yeah, I could see someone having that name, but then they weirdify it with like the last name or like vice versa.
Yeah. So
I'd be like Dana Air. And I think I'd be like, I don't know what my job would be. I feel like, honestly, I'd probably just work in a hotel.
Sorry,
but then I'd also... No. I know. I'll be like a Queen's Blood Master.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And I'd be all sassy, like, "Oh, you want to battle me, haha!" And then it'll do the split screen thing, and then it'll be like Dana Air.
What would be like your specialty? Would you be a mage? Would you be like a tank, a damage dealer?
I think I would actually be a mage. Although I don't like playing like mages, I do like the idea of a mage. I like the fantasy of that, the magic. Yeah. I like all of that. So I feel like I would be a mage. My name would be Dana Air. I'll work. Ooh, okay, no. I'm going to work in a hotel, day job. Yeah. But I also am a Queen's Blood Master.
Nice.
So like you'd have to find me and like people don't know. But I like, oh, and then because I win, I'll like, I'll be so good at it, right? That I'll just be, people will think, oh, I'm just like that innkeeper, you know, like I'm just at the hotel at the front desk. But then you'll get a side quest from someone else in the village saying that you have to beat me because they're in debt. And I have all their cards. Like I would just rack up cards. Like people would be really afraid of me.
She's got this whole thing figured out, Nick.
I love it. Yeah, see, you were scared off the top. You thought, oh my God, so much pressure. And then you just came up with a whole story and backstory.
It's just layer upon layer upon layer.
Chris.
Yeah.
What would you be?
That's a good question. I mean, it seems like there's jobs for everyone. So I feel like I would probably be like some sort of tech guy because I already do tech support for so many people that, you know, I was helping my sister buy a laptop that she needed. And she's like, what does this mean? So I feel like I would be like the town IT dude. And I would just sit behind a little desk tucked away in the corner, you know, very little sunlight, and, you know, maybe a little bowl of snacks or something. That would be most fitting. That's where I'd be comfortable.
Love it. Okay.
I like that idea.
Good job with the rapid fire. I love it. You guys came. You brought it.
I mean, we all brought it. Nick didn't bring it, Chris. I'm sorry, too.
Well,
Nick was just kind of like, I'm this and this and this. That's it. I gave a whole backstory, Nick.
I did say rapid fire. Okay.
I gave a backstory. That's true, you did.
All right, well, let's get back to the story here. And we're going to talk to Chris and Cam about what the hell is going on in Nibelheim. After the break, let's see what's left of Cloud and Tifa's home.
Hey, Sephiroth, wait up!
Bring me the black materia.
okay?
Yeah.
Looks like we're not the only ones headed for Nibelheim.
Huh. Almost like they swung by Cosmo Canyon just so they could lead us here. Sorry, just thinking out loud. Forget about it.
So Sephiroth tells Cloud in a vision to bring him the black materia, as we see a bunch of black robes headed to Nibelheim. I do have to say, I am tired of the static vision that Cloud has. What is this, the 800th time in the last two games where Sephiroth tells him something, he groans and grunts, sees something, and then pulls out his sword. I've had enough.
You're done.
I think
That's
we
it.
all had enough. Yeah, I think we all had enough at this point. It's like, how often are we going to get this? And it's like, we're still, again, they're not giving us enough to be like, and like to keep us interested. So it's like, I know it's not a joke, but that gimmick is kind of falling apart for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if it told you a little bit, more than just, okay, yeah, we get it. Bring it to you. It might be a little bit helpful. And why is he always pulling out the sword though? That's just like a reaction to him. Like,
I think,
that's
as
crazy.
a soldier, as an ex-soldier, you're always on the attack.
Right.
Ready
true.
to go.
But it's such a big sword. He's just got to like, maybe if he
Do
had
you
a
not
knife a
see
couple
those
times.
muscles? Nick, we won't understand. We don't have those muscles that Cloud has.
That's got to be,
To
that
him,
can't be
it's
a
nothing.
light sword though. That's got to be
But
heavy.
to him, it's nothing.
That's true.
Nothing.
I just hate when he brings it around to like, the gold saucer and stuff. Like maybe put it down sometimes. Whatever.
Just check that in the coat check. He'll give you a ticket and then just get it afterwards.
Exactly. Once we get to Nibelheim, it looks like it's been completely rebuilt since the fire 5 years ago. Shinra has rebuilt the town. It's now a place to treat Mako poisoning, hence all the black robes. But Cloud and Tifa don't like it. Barrett also makes a little comment, if you hear it, about Cloud talking crazy stories again before Red interrupts him. So he kind of like didn't believe the story for a second because, maybe everyone's talking amongst each other that we don't know about behind the scenes. That kind of seems like what's happening here with Cloud. But now here's your chance to chat up everyone. If you want to gain some more relationship points to see who you fancy the most. I keep hearing, we haven't heard yet because there's a date coming up soon, apparently.
There is.
And that Chris did not really care about the relationship.
I didn't. Here's the thing. Normally, and this is coming from like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, there's a clear choice with which option is going to give you like the ideal, bonus points. Here, not so much. I would always pick the one that I thought they wanted to hear, but then they just like shrug it off. I'm like, oh, well, I thought I said something good, but obviously I didn't. And they don't give you a lot of time.
No.
That is so stressful. By the time I finish reading the sentence, I've got like 2 seconds left and then I've already made them mad. So
Yeah, that's true. But Chris, you haven't been making the right decision. Like Tifa, you always want to pick any option that will make Tifa happy. I'm just letting you know that is the only correct answer.
Okay. So
in our
keep
eyes,
Tifa happy.
least.
Got it.
Keep Tifa happy.
From our experience too, Aerith has kind of passed with Zach, right? So we've been thinking like, Tifa always loved us, so we want to, have a relationship with Tifa. So that's where we're coming from. There's a specific here thing with Aerith where she's in the water tower. She's at the water tower. You can talk to her. The top tier answer for her is to kind of talk about Tifa, which I had to take a double take because I answered that in order to keep Tifa's relationship strong, but Aerith actually liked that.
Yeah,
which
I
I'm
was
confused
upset.
about. Why?
I was upset because she liked that answer.
Yeah, what? But what?
I think it's because she's just such a good person.
But she
You know
likes
what I
Cloud
mean?
still, right?
She's very
I
happy.
know,
Like nothing
but
can
I
really
think-
anger her.
I think she likes Cloud, but I think she doesn't get like she's also like very much trying to keep her friends. Remember, this is a girl that hasn't had any friends growing up, right? So like now she has this family of friends. She wants to do what's best for her friendships rather than her own interest. I think that's what that's how I interpret it anyways.
Well, she needed some alone time, so it didn't work out in your favor anyway. She didn't want to talk to anybody because she doesn't have a person to talk to about her past, which she really is upset about. But once you talk to everyone around town, go to the inn, and as you approach your room, the static gets worse and worse. The worst static I've ever seen in this game so far, and it's as you're approaching Sephiroth's old room from the story that you talked about in the first chapter 5 years ago. Once you get into that room, you get a flashback.
So, any friends here you want to see? Maybe a girlfriend? Speaking of which, I'll bet you're dying to hear about mine. Am I right? What? Not interested? I'm gonna tell you anyway. She's real pretty. No, beautiful. Kind of depends on the angle. She's just great to be around. She from Midgard? Yep, real city mouse.
Zack Fair. From Gongaga. Head over heels for Aerith. We fought together as soldiers. You were here with me 5 years ago. You came with me on the mission. Where are you? What happened to you?
So Cloud finally remembers Zack Fair from Gongaga. He realizes that they fought together. They were on that mission together 5 years ago. Cam, first, why do you think Cloud finally remembered him now after all this time, especially with all the degradation that he's going through?
Yeah, the degradation. I think it's because I think it's just being home. Like, it's triggering all these things that he remembered and really recalling the events of what happened 5 years ago as they happened 5 years ago. It's like, you know, like we're always seeing it from his perspective. And it's interesting when they were telling the story about what happened 5 years ago, it's been in third person, right? So like now with these flashbacks, we're seeing that first person, kind of similar to like what happened in the last chapter with Zack, and seeing Zack walk about, right? It's just like, yeah, I think they're trying to tell us like maybe what he was remembering isn't actually what happened, and him just being in the hometown, like getting those different angles and perspectives, is just triggering it. My thing is, was he insulting Aerith? Like Zack, by the way?
He sure was.
Depends on the angles. Come on. Maybe Zack's just as big of a jerk as Cloud is.
It's funny, too. It's this whole reveal scene where he finally remembers Zack, and the main thing that sticks out to my head is him just saying, Aerith's pretty, but, you know, it just depends on the angle. That was the most savage, backhanded compliment I've heard in this game so far, and there's been a lot.
Yeah, but he's head over heels about Aerith. He's head over heels. My thing is, like, with this, right? Like, yes, it's triggering Cloud's memory, and I'm sure he's going through a bit of shock right now. But it just came to light that he knew Zack, Aerith's boyfriend. And, like, obviously he also has feelings for Aerith. And, like, he didn't address anything after that. Like, he didn't say anything like, Aerith, oh, ooh.
Yeah.
That was frustrating for me.
He did mention, Zack did mention that in that little clip, though, that, like, Cloud kind of fancied someone in the beginning. So I'm guessing he had a crush on Tifa all the way back then.
Well, no, he said, how did he hint? He said, do you want to talk about girls? Is there someone you're looking forward to seeing?
I think he meant.
He
meant
he was
purpose.
teasing him?
Yes, that's how I took it anyway.
Okay,
I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way, but yeah, I could see that now.
After Cloud leaves the inn, he finds Kate Sith, who doesn't have enough access on the Shinra computers to find out more about where to find the black materia. So we have to find a clearance key from a man named Murasaki, who is up at the Nibelheim reactor. So that's where we have to go next. Tifa and Yuffie come with us. In between this, we also get a brief cutscene with Rufus and Heidegger, that the Nibelheim survey team were ambushed by Wutai. And he says, and so it begins. So the war between Wutai and Shinra could be coming closer. But we turn back to Cloud, and he and his team climb up to the reactor.
He's in Fate's hands now.
What is it?
I remember what happened here. And to Zack.
Oh.
Bridge broke. He fell, got swept away by the current. I think he's dead. You never forgot, did you? That's why you've been acting weird.
Didn't want to upset you. That's all.
Zack was my friend. How could I just forget him like that? Degradation. It's hollowing me out, bit by bit.
You're wrong. You remembered, Cloud. It'll be okay. It will. I know it.
Thanks. We gotta tell Aerith about this. She deserves to know what happened.
Yeah, she does. But let me be the one to do it.
Why?
Because she and I are close, you know?
So Cloud has another vision of the soldier, if we remember from chapter 1, who got washed away by the river that Sephiroth could not save. That was actually Zack. And Cloud comes to the realization that Zack is dead and confirms it with Tifa. I want to point out a couple things here. Tifa tells Cloud that he'll tell Aerith about this. Mm-hmm. We know probably that Aerith already knows, but it's the larger theme here. To me, I think aside from Yuffie, everyone on the team, I feel like, knows about Cloud's past. Do you guys agree with that?
Like, what do you mean knows about Cloud's past?
Like, about Zack, about what happened 5 years ago. Tifa,
like, they know what actually happened.
Yeah, Tifa doesn't remember Cloud being there, right? Still?
Yeah, well, remember at the beginning of the when Cloud was telling the story in chapter 1, Tifa did tell. It might have been like 3 chapters after she told Aerith the truth about like what happened because that was bugging her. And it seems like at the start of the chapter as well, like you were saying, of this chapter, like how Barrett thought Cloud was having like a bit of an episode again and then Red knocks Barrett's hand like to like not talk about it. I think you're right, Nick. I think they are having discussions about Cloud that we don't see because we're playing mostly in Cloud's perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting because as a player, you're always thinking that you're seeing everything that is supposed to happen unless there's obvious things that the game is waiting to reveal to you. But that was kind of like the moment where, like, when I was watching this cutscene and Tifa said, oh, when, you know, Cloud had this realization, I was like, duh, Camille, she would have obviously she was there.
Yeah.
She would have realized like that didn't match. But we've been playing like pretty much going at Cloud for not saying everything that he's seeing in these visions. But also now I'm like, wait a second, Tifa, why didn't you tell Cloud about this? I remember Tifa knows what happens and had that conversation with Aerith, but because of everything else that's going on, I think I had to hold Tifa to a little bit of accountability. Like, why aren't you speaking up to Cloud and actually telling Cloud what happens? Because also, how Tifa says, oh yeah, she should know, but let me tell her, like, was such a, like, she's brushing it off. And I had trouble sitting with that because I was like, wait, is she just not going to tell Tifa? And then I was like, wait, I mean, if she's not going to tell Aerith, and I was like, wait, Aerith already knows because Tifa already told Aerith. Yeah. And because, like, everyone else, so, like, the secret's out. Everyone knows. But they're just, I guess, for Cloud's benefit, like, because he's going through degradation, they don't want to shock him or put more stress on him more, I'm guessing.
That's what I got out of it. Like, it was kind of like, they know what's happening. You don't want to put him through sort of like more stress or have him worry about anything else. So it's kind of like, if he needs to know, we'll let him know, but let's just kind of put it on the back burner for a bit.
Also here, Sephiroth says in this little clip, I had to point it out here, he's in Fate's hands now. I feel like that's a little nod to us, the player here. This whole thing with Fate and these different storylines weaving together, that this has something to do with Zack. Again, Zack's dead in this timeline. He's not dead in the other timeline. Obviously, Sephiroth probably knows everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. He's the all-knowing one, I assume.
Because I guess his like Jenova being his mother, essentially.
Yeah.
And Jenova being this other being, having that ability to see through time or through different universes. But yeah, it's definitely becoming more apparent that things that are happening in these cutscenes or happening, well, specifically in these cutscenes, it's kind of like the game is talking to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't happen before, I don't think, as much. All the way up, fight some more enemies, slide down some pipes, and you'll finally get to the top.
They're ninjas from Wutai. Which means we're at war? But what about my mission? Did Command call it off? Why didn't anyone tell me? Aren't we in the middle of a ceasefire, though?
That's what they say. Still, doesn't mean we are. And it makes no difference to them either way. Come on. We gotta find Murasaki.
Right. This is it. There's no turning back.
So if Shinra were ambushed like Heidegger told Rufus, why are there just dead Wutai soldiers up here, Chris? I think there's some funny business going on, and methinks Shinra is plotting something.
Yeah, I was always getting sketch vibes from them, and I think that was the whole point. Yeah, something's not right.
The weird thing is, though, who's in control? Because why is Heidegger saying this to Rufus?
Well, I'm sure he only gets the high level stuff, right?
Heidegger or Rufus?
Rufus. He only
But I mean, if Shinra didn't ambush and maybe they were there killing off Wutai, someone's telling a lie or has missing information.
Yeah, Heidegger.
If there's a bunch of so that's what I'm saying. Who's in control?
No,
is Heidegger?
He definitely is telling Rufus as they're both laughing about it. I think Rufus knows about this too. Is what I'm getting at, right?
So you think like they're talking and like teasing
in code, yeah.
But why talk in code? They're the only ones in the room.
That's a great point.
See, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, this is so like weird.
But you never know who's listening.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. I just thought it's weird. And if you don't know who's listening, now I'm thinking, wait, is the game talking? Is this another moment where like, is Heidegger and like Rufus knowing that we're watching them talk as players?
I think there's, like you mentioned before, there's times where they're trying to fill the audience in, and I think there's times where they're just not fooling us, but they're trying to get us to think more critically about what's happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Make a little ambiguous.
This is one of these moments. Sorry.
Well, this is definitely one of those moments because I'm like, who they talking to? Who's listening in?
After you fend off a less than difficult mini-boss Diabolic variant, Tifa sees dead bodies inside the reactor and has a vision of her own. It's of her dad laying on the ground when Sephiroth killed him 5 years ago. So no static, but sad. Just a vision. That's
well, and that's the thing. Like that reminded me of crap. Oh yeah, this is probably really traumatic for both her and Cloud, and we're seeing that trauma, and we're seeing them kind of lean on each other. Which is why they belong. Yeah. But yeah, like this soldier is, or this body is right where her father was on the ground as she went to like go after Sephiroth. So it's like, this ain't good.
No, it is not good. One of the dead bodies lying on the ground Yuffie finds is indeed Murasaki, and we regretfully take his ID card. Cloud wants to look to see if there's any survivors, so they head into the Genova pod room, which is probably not a good idea, buddy, because guess what? He has another vision of him fighting Sephiroth, who says soon. But, buddy, come on. Like, just stop going into places that reminisce some sort of memory, but
come on, buddy. And also it's like Sephiroth is obviously talking to us, the player, teasing soon we're gonna know something about what's going on. Soon we'll be let into the know. Which is just because this scene actually did happen, but the words coming out of Sephiroth's mouth didn't. So that's just interesting.
Yuffie turns on the terminal and has a Zoom meeting with Kate Sith. That's all I can assume it is. They slot the keycard in for Kate Sith to access the terminal to Shinra Manor, and it's a switcheroo of characters as we get now Kate Sith leading the group with Aerith and Barrett. Chris, your thoughts on playing as Kate as the main character on this side?
Why did you put this note in here? Sorry.
What? Sorry? What happened?
The note right under. Chris seemed to have trouble.
That was Dylan put that.
Jesus Christ.
Well, we did.
Chris did have trouble.
Did you? Well, what was the woes? Tell us.
Yeah.
I think it was just bouncing between all these characters. I'm like, okay, I have to learn a whole new strategy with how these guys operate. And I'm mindful with the fact that I'm recording this like essentially live. So I don't have much room for error, even though, we can cut some stuff out, but I'm being mindful. I'm like, I don't want to put too much work into doing that. But I mean, I didn't hate it. I liked him. He's a great character. But I totally think, further proof, I would be like the IT guy. I would be the guy on the other end being like, oh yes, I can patch you through. And like, I would dig that. That would be my jam. I don't know if I'd want to be a cat. Maybe something like, I don't know, like a penguin maybe, just kind of waddling around between, terminals, I think would be cool.
That's so cute. Yeah, I love playing as Kate Sith. Like, I think it's cute to be the cat. It made me love Kate more. Because, I've had my woes with Kate. I liked, throwing of the boxes and all that stuff like that.
Nope, no boxes. No boxes, please, no.
That goes into the objective of what we're supposed to do here. After rolling around as Kate Sith for a while, again, don't run too fast or you're going to bump into things quite a bit and stop, which is a little annoying. But an AI Hojo greets them at Shinra Manor, drops them in a hole, and it's up to Kate to now kind of rescue Barrett and Aerith. And there's a bunch of scenes here where he's got to go through vents. And this is where we get the particular box throwing exercise. I personally had really, it's a learning curve for sure. And as we talked about before in our editor's note, Chris had real trouble with the box throwing. What gave you trouble, Chris?
I think it was just figuring out how to throw the damn things. That was the big part. I obviously I didn't read something, but there's that one room where you have to throw the box into like it was like a generator or something. It was like spinning, and you had to time it right, but then just launching it. Like I always felt like, oh, maybe I'm standing in the wrong spot. So I think probably in the footage, there's me going to probably like half a dozen different places being like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be here. Maybe can I move something? I don't know how much footage actually got cut, but it was a lot. Eventually I figured it out, but yeah, no more boxes. I'm done with the boxes.
Cam, I know like for me specifically, like Chris said, there were certain levels you could get to, and there would be no boxes, and you kind of have to figure out everything was a puzzle, not just. I love
that.
You love that?
I love. Well, as a Zelda fan, I love puzzles. I love trying to figure that out. So I didn't mind this as much. Are we not going to talk about the fact that there's an AI Hojo? Like I know you mentioned it briefly, but an AI Hojo.
The good thing about it, though,
and it's massive.
It's not actually him like seeing us right now. It's just like a
pre-recorded.
Yeah. But you never know.
Shinra, you never know. That's going to be their new tagline.
Well, once you get through all the very hard box throwing exercises, there's also some more box throwing. When you think you're done with box throwing, there's actually more box throwing. But
there's a mini game as well.
Yes,
it's like pass the time on the elevator. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud, not this again. I don't even think I did it. I'm just like, no, it's like 2 minutes or something. I'm like, I
did it. I did it like 6 times until I hit perfect.
Do you find actually, Chris, because do you find like the mini games interesting to you? Like, do you actually like it, enjoy it, or do you find like you just want to know what the heck's going on and want to continue with the story?
That's a good portion of it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that's happening, because again, this is my first time being exposed to Final Fantasy, so I'm trying to keep all the pieces together. And then some of the mini games I found were fun, not the box throwing. But it was like cute. It's like fun to try, but I'm like, if I had to do this for a great length of time, I don't know if I'd enjoy it that much. But again, I'll try it. And I mean, I did, so.
Box throwing expert right here. Yeah.
Well, guys, if you hated the box throwing, you're going to hate solo boss fighting with Kate Sith. First, there's the educators, who are pretty difficult. They're like these scales that change from magic to physical attack. And then also the boss, Yin and Yang, who does the same thing. He has 2 faces. When he lights up his red eyes, you can physical attack him, but you can't magic attack him. When he lights up his blue eyes, you can magic attack him, but you can't physical attack him. How did you find these fights? I died quite a few times trying to master Kate Sith also, because I don't really use him as a character much. And his HP compared to my other characters is massively lower.
Yeah. I thought because he's like a robot or android or whatever it is, I guess, yeah, he would have had more.
He's not Android
like,
18.
No, exactly, right? Like, I thought I would, power level over 10,000, like, I thought it was going to be great. But yeah, no, I think I just haven't spent enough time with Kate. And also, like, I just feel like his attacks aren't that great.
Yeah. I always felt like I was doing something wrong. Like, I thought maybe, have I not leveled him up enough? Or, again, was I just not reading something? Because, like you said, I felt like, he would just do a little, like, wisp of magic, and then it's just, like, not even doing anything. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a while.
I think it's on us to equip characters with materia, because I sometimes forget if I'm not Cloud, because Cloud, for me, he has all the elemental magic, he has haste, he has cure, he does mostly everything, and then I have my sub characters with materia who I know have fit certain roles, like with Barrett, and then Aerith specifically is healing for me. Those are the two characters I use a lot, Chris. But with Kate, like, I feel like I never go back and re-equip materia, even for different scenarios. And I still didn't, even though I was fighting these bosses. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, why didn't I just switch the materia in the first place? Anyway, that's just my rant. After you fight Yin and Yang, you are reunited with Barrett and Aerith. Hojo gives you a puzzle. And if you're puzzle dumb like me, and not smart puzzle person like Cam, it's going to be a breeze, because all you got to do, take out some boxes, lift them out of the way, and there's a puzzle, or there's the lock. What is it? What am I saying?
The code.
The access code to the
access
lock.
Code.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say padlock, but it's not padlock. It's like, I know what you were thinking of saying.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're thinking of saying, but no.
So thank God that was easy. Once
I like
you unlock
those kind
the
of
door,
puzzles, though.
where you don't have to do much.
You don't have to do much. It's more like explore the area.
Yeah, like pay extra attention to your surrounding kind of thing. Yeah.
Once you unlock the door, it's another boss battle against another one of Hojo's experiments, the Forgotten Specimen. This thing has no weaknesses and uses different forms each time. There's unique attacks when it changes forms, but if it turns into its red form, it pretty much just pressures itself there, and that's when you can stagger it. So to me, I found it much easier than Yin and Yang to fight this guy. These are kind of like mini boss fights as we go. I don't really consider them like full boss fights.
Yeah. Which I'm like, at this point, do we need to back-to-back boss fights when one was already hard and this one's kind of like,
It's true.
Yeah.
That's the last thing to accomplish after you meet up with the rest of the gang. We then open the door searching for the terminal that we have to find in Shinra Manor. However, we find something pretty surprising.
There.
Oh. You have the authorization at least.
Oh, great.
Though you're clearly not Murasaki. Explain yourself.
It's a bit of a long story, and we'd love to tell you all about it, but there's something we really need to look up first. Can't go letting our foe win the information war, eh?
Your foe? And who might that be?
A man who many people, myself included, once called a hero. Sephiroth. He's insane, and he's after something so powerful, it could destroy the planet, unless we stop him.
I see. Then I've one more sin to atone for. is unlocked. Use it as you see fit, Mr. Murasaki.
Don't mind if we do, I guess.
So, what are your initial thoughts on Vincent Valentine? Cam, I'll go with you first because you have crushes on Cloud, Sephiroth. Want to know if you also have a crush on Vincent because he is a brooding, dark character with, he seems, you don't really know much about him. He's so mysterious.
He is very mysterious. He's also voiced by Matt Mercer, who voiced Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh.
Already a fan. And I mean, I just like the design of Vincent Valentine. Because it's like, how do you bring a vampire into like a more realistic style that still looks cool? And I think they did accomplish that with Vincent. My favorite thing about him is like after this interaction, which I know we'll get to, but he goes back into his coffin and you could approach the coffin and like you just hear him mumbling through it. Mm-hmm. Which is hilarious because obviously he's security, but he's just staying in the coffin to get his rest and he's just mumbling the whole time. And I found that cool. I kind of have a crush on him.
Nice. What about you, Chris?
You saw that coming though.
Yeah.
You saw that coming.
Yeah, I like this character. As soon as he appeared, I'm like, okay, this guy's awesome. He's already my favorite, and I've just met him. He just had a look about him. I didn't think, oh, this guy's, an evil guy, because he wasn't giving off that, I'm a bad guy vibe. He was, he was wearing red, and he's got like this armor on. I'm like, okay, maybe he's like some sort of guardian or something. Again, I don't know. This is just me. And the one thing I thought, I was waiting for him to do it. He had that terminal so much. After he unlocked the door, I honestly thought he was going to turn it around and ask me to tip him like 20% for opening the door. I was waiting for that to happen, but it didn't. But yeah, there's just something about this guy that I'm just like, oh, he's already my favorite character. So.
Oh, that's cool. I also like to point out his eyes. I think they did something really cool because like he has like this one glowing eye. So his eyes are red, but one it's like the outside is red and then the middle is black. And then the other, they flipped it and it like gives him like this glowing eye. That's like very menacing. I think if they did like 2 glowing eyes, it'd be too much. They did the perfect amount, 1 glowing eye. So it still makes him friendly enough to like want to get to know him more.
Who did you guys pick as well? We know Chris in his gameplay picked Sephiroth as his foe, which, led Vincent to let us go. I also picked Sephiroth.
Same here. So, I don't know what the other option is.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, like, if we picked the other ones, would he have let us go? Would we have to fight him? Well, luckily we don't have inflation and tipping services in Gil here in this game, Chris, so I appreciate that. Vincent, of course, lets us through, and this is what gives us access to the terminal that Kate Sith can now use. But that gives you a second to roam around and wait. And if you're Cloud, you can enter another room that contains more static. And he gets really scared at this point, too. There's containers that have a giant S on them. I don't know if that means Shinra or chemical S or something like that. I have no idea if you guys have any insight onto that. He hears, I guess, Hojo, Sephiroth. I'm not really sure what this signifies at all. Did you guys have any idea?
Isn't it Sephiroth? It's like, I thought it was like Sephiroth's like samples.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what I took it at, because you're hearing him say like, you're hearing Hojo say like, S hair, S blood. So I think it's samples of Sephiroth.
Ooh, okay.
That would make sense. The way the S is labeled, like it does seem like, it's something. I think Camille's got it on the nose there.
Well, Vincent doesn't like it, by the way, that we went into different rooms and he comes after us.
I don't recall giving you permission to go in there.
Oh, it was an honest mistake. We didn't mean any. Ah! Don't hurt me! Please! I can explain!
Drop it.
Why should I? He's trespassing, like you.
Save it. I've had a pretty shit day.
What a coincidence. So have I.
So he didn't like that so much that he transforms into the Galian Beast, and it's another boss battle. But this time I think it's a real boss battle.
Yes.
How did you... I forgot the word.
Do?
Yeah.
How did we fare?
How did we do, Nick?
How did you fare on this boss battle? I definitely died a few times until I found a strategy that worked for me.
Oh, thank goodness
lot.
I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
There was a lot of footage that got cut.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. And my solution was, hey, Chris, level up your stuff, and then you can get through it. Pro tip.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, I took that tip like fights ago. After like the big first boss battle, I was like, I'm just going to play every side mission so I could level up everything and be strong like Nick. So this one was really hard because I just wasn't getting it. And I felt like my attacks weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
For the longest time. And then I don't know if it's because like Vincent's like mostly a red color. I didn't think using fire against him, although I should have known because he's a vampire.
Yes, the first thing I do in every battle now, or I've been doing for most of this game, is assess.
Yeah.
Just to see if they have any weakness. He has fire, so I'm going to cast that as much as possible. But the amount of HP he has is still difficult.
Yeah.
So what I started doing a few, I think, chapters before that was starting to equip elemental material on my gear to resist certain things. I think I was dying to some bombs, so I would resist with fire, and then you can do the opposite thing with attacking. You can actually equip an elemental material with a fire material on your weapon so that it casts more fire damage. Mm-hmm. So that is when I started to get more of the hang of it, and just have your cures ready, because that he gives so much damage in like one hit really quickly. And if your guy dies, you don't have raise ready, then you might be screwed.
Oh yeah. 100%.
After we beat him, he transforms back into human form. Kate says that he was a former Turk. Interesting. And Sephiroth is the reason why he's down here. Kate offers Vincent to join the group, but he doesn't want to. Unfortunately, I really wish he did because he's so cool.
That bummed me out.
I know. He just wants to go back to sleep in his coffin, and he wants us to leave.
I mean, that's just a mood right there. Like, you know, your friends are calling you, or like people calling you out to go hang out, and you're like, just gonna close the door.
I'm leaving in 5 minutes, but I'm still in my bed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I like how he's just like, leave me alone, and he crawls back. He also looks like, obviously, I guess he's in pain because
we just kicked the crap out of him.
But then I also wonder if he's in pain because of whatever happened to him after being a Turk. right?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if there is some sort of downside, which is why he needs to slumber so much.
I think he's just apathetic. Like,
yeah,
he's just
maybe.
like, I don't care about anything. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. The interesting thing is Kate, like, knows about his file. Like, it's Kate that, like, tells us everything.
Yeah.
So I wonder, and, like, Kate actually says, like, is that what you want to be known for? Your last, like, kind of like your story to end? Is that where you want your story to end?
Yeah.
So I wonder if, like, Kate's is a bit, like, he feels bad for his situation. Because we don't know exactly what happened in that case file, but it seems like Vincent went through a lot that makes Kate feel really bad.
Well, I don't think there's enough game to find out that backstory. So that'll probably be part 3.
Yeah.
Kate then tells us we need a relic called the Keystone in order to get to the temple that we need to get this black materia, and it's his only lead. But I'm confused because he also told Barrett that they could go now if they wanted. Mm-hmm. I don't trust Kate here. What's he playing at? Why do we need the Keystone? If he was afraid for Barrett for a second, he's like, we could leave if you want to. I don't know why that sounded like Mickey Mouse or whatever that was, but
you tried.
But then he was like, actually, we need the Keystone. And then everyone's like, oh, really? Okay. Sounds suspicious to me.
Oh, so now you're sus of Kate, where I was like, I don't trust Kate. And you're like, well, can you not trust Kate? Nick,
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm jumping on the bandwagon, all right? Well, the Keystone, Kate says, is said to be at the Gold Saucer. So we have to head back there. But before that, randomly, we get a surprise with the Black Cloaks.
I'm so late to the party, my Our long-awaited reunion.
I'm not going with you, so back off.
You misunderstand. I'm defying my boss to be here, 'cause I've got a hunger that cannot be denied. Cloud, bring me the black materia. My desire to see you has driven me on. That's what I get for redlining the old engine. All right, my friend, it's the final lap. So let's con it one last time!
He's mine!
And a surprise, Roche is back, fresh off his experiment with Hojo, and he's rocking a brand new tattoo. He doesn't want anything else but to fight Cloud. He says he shouldn't even be here right now. And we have a boss battle with Roche. What were your initial thoughts of this even happening?
This is weird. Like, I know we got the, like, Roche going under experiment with Hojo, and that's probably going to end bad as we were seeing it, but I think it also changed his personality, because he used to have fun. Like, it wasn't until this scene where I'm like, oh, crap. Does Roche actually hate Cloud? Like, I know, like, they're enemies in a sense, but every time we fought Roche before, I was just kind of like, he also admires Cloud, like he does it for the fight and he's having fun.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm just like, oh gosh, like I think he actually may hate Cloud. I thought there was some sort of rivalry, like friendship after this, you know?
Did you get that sense, Chris, at all?
No, when he showed up again, I thought, oh, not this douche again. Like, I thought it the first time I met him. I'm like, he's one of those characters. And then, he pops out again, flamboyantly, like, yo, it's me, dudes. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, get out of the way.
Yeah. I think also, like you said, Cam, about admiring him. That's what it seemed the entire time. I think after the last fight that we had against him, I think now his whole thing is he wants to beat Cloud. And he'll do whatever it takes. And now it's like a desperation move, where before it was like a cool rivalry. And then over time he was like, I need to beat this guy.
What was the last fight? That was the parade?
The parade, yeah.
Right? Like, but even after that, he wasn't like, oh, I hate this guy. Like, that was what was weird to me when we saw that scene with Hojo and him. Because I was like, oh, he's just like, trying to get a little boost to go up against Cloud, where I didn't see it was like that much driving him to actually beat him for this vendetta.
Yeah.
That's what I don't know. I just found it weird. So I don't know if that's a result. The personality change is a result of Hojo's experiment or a result of bad storytelling in this part.
Well, to be honest, I don't even know if this needed to be in here at all, but maybe we'll talk about that in segment 3. Once you beat Roche for the 3rd time in this game franchise, in a surprise here, Roche turns into a black cloak and says there is no stopping degradation. Now, we've seen from before, I don't think we talked about this, but we saw the innkeeper from Calm turn into a black robe, black cloak, whatever you call them, and now also Roche. So we're seeing now Cloud knows these people turning into black cloaks. How do you feel about this? I felt sad, even though I hated Roche. It just seemed like he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt sad as well. Like, I think even though it was like, oh gosh, Roche, you're so weird, he wasn't gross. Like, there was a part of me that kind of liked his quirkiness and that he's like just so over the top and like a showboater, like there's a little bit that I was just kind of like, oh, I kind of like Roche. So it was actually really sad to see this happen. But I'm hoping that there will be hope at the end of this game, if not the 3rd game, that we could change these people back, because they're people we've interacted. It would be so sad just to lose them.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you may not like them, but they don't deserve that. Like, that's kind of extreme, right? So hopefully there is, again, my feelings aside, hopefully we can bring all of them back and, give them a decent ending, a happy ending.
Don't think so, guys.
And then it's like, how many of the black cloaks have we seen die? Like, are those any of the people that we know?
A bajillion of them. I'm sure they have been, right? They must have been.
Well, that's the other thing, because we know with Nibelheim, how they changed it is like they rebuilt it into this like disguise for what happened because of that lab that's underneath, in the mansion or whatever, right? So it's like, is everyone that they knew of in Nibelheim that didn't die, are they also black robes? Like that Cloud and Tifa knew?
Potentially.
Maybe.
Because they don't know anyone else in this town right now.
It's like a brand new town.
Yeah. Where it's like, what happened to the sandwich woman? She was so nice to Cloud.
She did.
She did. She's black robe. And also, that's the other thing. Going here, I never noticed it before. A lot of the black robed sounded more like masculine, like a deeper voice. But there were a few black robes here that had more of a feminine voice.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Did you guys notice that before? Or
that was the first time I noticed it.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like a lot of these, and this is the town where they're treating everyone for Mako poisoning, and the villagers look scared, or paid actors, as I like to call these villagers now in Nibelheim.
Yeah.
But like I think these are everyone that's used to live here. Like, I really do think that's so sad.
I think they
good though.
Maybe
if
they
it's
left,
the jerks
though.
that
Maybe they left.
No.
Maybe they moved downtown after their house got burned down.
I don't think so. I mean, if it's the guys that led Tifa across the bridge and then ran away, good for them. Good for those jerks of a kids.
After the fight, the game switches it up, and we see a broadcast of Wutai and Lodbrok on TV. And they announce that they are going to war against Shinra after what happened in Nibelheim, as they claim they were attacked, and show footage of their soldiers being ambushed on a recon mission. So I guess we were right in terms of Shinra was behind all of this. It cuts to Rufus and the board talking it over. They mention that Lodbrok used to be an ex-soldier and that he was a prototype. Interesting. Is Sephiroth also a prototype? Is Cloud a prototype? Question.
I mean, he has the robe. Lodbrok has the robe for it, and he's barefoot, so he's like halfway to becoming one of the Black Robes anyways.
Yes. He was also a deserter and took up an anti-Shinra stance like Avalanche. So is he much different from Avalanche? We also have yet to see, there's this weird point where they go, and here is now Viceroy Saruf. And then they're waiting. The Shinra people are waiting to watch to see Saruf come, and he never comes. And then they're like, who is this Saruf guy? So who is Viceroy Saruf?
Oh, yeah, that's the thing they keep talking about, too, when it comes to...
Lodbrok.
That's supposed to be the Wutai guy, right?
Yeah, the leader of Wutai, but all we see ever is Lodbrok.
So is Lodbrok, like, did Lodbrok secretly have him assassinated?
Maybe.
Or, like, Viceroy Saruf is, like, sick and Lodbrok's moving in?
Yeah, he's the puppeteer, is my guess.
Also, yeah, like, this whole thing of, like, it was weird when you're hearing all the other board members like, what? Is this true? We got to do something.
Yeah, that was weird. Also, Palmer, like, didn't he had like a nice little rant about how it would feel to be Lodbrok. And everyone's like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
He wished he was a little bit taller.
Well, again, we're not really sure what's going on with this war plot line. I think it's been pretty rushed so far. Maybe we'll find out more later. But it seems that Rufus isn't too concerned. All right, and he sets his sights on something else. What that is, well, we'll find out right after the break.
The Ancient is en route to the temple as we speak. Pursuing her is our top priority. She will guide us to the promised land. One way or another.
Regarding the speech, sir, many will interpret it as a declaration of war. And given that it was a worldwide broadcast, it would be prudent to issue a response.
I intend to make a statement. Sung, if you would.
Sir.
So why does Shinra keep going back and forth with Aerith? Okay, the first plot was to capture the Ancient. Then they were like, nah, let's let her go. Then let's just observe her. And now it's okay, we have to go after her again.
Yeah, I think it's weird that they keep going back and forth. Kind of hard to believe that they're actually a successful company when they can't stick to a plan. But I think it's because maybe they were thinking, like, if they let her go, eventually, like, they'll figure out what is going on. But now I think because everything's out in the open, they don't have any time to waste on waiting for Aerith to figure it out.
Yeah.
They need to just force her to.
Chris, what do you think? This is this back and forth is a weird plot line.
It felt weird, but at the same time, I thought maybe they were kind of, doing that on purpose, like hoping that eventually they would go to almost where they wanted them to. So I felt like this was planned out. Like, I don't know, it felt, I didn't think that they were like clueless. Like, clearly they must be doing something right. But, you know, it could have been one of those things, too many chefs in the kitchen. But no, I thought that, you know, they must have wanted to do that. Like a little, like, oh, we'll get you, and then, oh, we'll let you go and, you know, give you this false sense of security. So.
Do you think Rufus is the type of person to actually take in what the board member says about a situation?
No.
Because I don't think he is, but then that may be another explanation. Like, maybe the board, specifically Reeve, was like, hey, it doesn't make sense to go after Aerith right now. Let her think we're not on her trail so she could lead us. But then, like, now seeing Reeve here too, it's also like obvious that Reeve doesn't agree with what's happening, and Rufus is onto him.
Did you see the long stare in the cutscene? Rufus stares at Reeve for quite a while.
Do you think he's setting a trap for Reed and Kate?
I don't know. Well, we also don't know. Like, is maybe Reeve still loyal to Shinra, right? It's possible.
No.
But who knows? Because he did change the wanted signs.
He did.
Yeah.
And I feel like Rufus may know that based on that stare. It's like, you know, when your parents know you're lying about going out, and then they see how far you'd go with the lie. Yeah.
Keep digging the hole deeper.
Well, we switch back to the original group with Cloud, and they debate on how to get to the saucer. They see smoke in the distance and decide to go to Sid. And we get this cutscene where Sid actually knew Aerith's mom and vows to help her, which is a really sweet moment. On top of that, Vincent shows up and decides to join the group to go to the saucer. So, Chris, you got your wish. He is now part of the group.
I was so excited.
Our cool levels went up for the party.
It's also cool because this is the full group of Final Fantasy VII players now after Vincent joined. So I'm super excited to see where this goes. However, it doesn't go far because they crash the plane. Sid has this weird moment where he's just like, I don't care that both engines are whatever. Just let me do my thing. And they crash land back to Costa del Sol. I'm sure Vincent was thinking, what the hell did I just get myself into? The minute he
I could have been in my coffin sleeping.
Yeah. But that is... Sorry, go ahead.
Vincent. No, I was just going to say, poor Vincent can't get a break.
But that is it for Chapter 11 and everything that happened. I thought a lot of story was told here. Again, I don't understand the Roche part of this. I think it was already a jam-packed enough with story that we didn't need that almost bow tie of Roche's story.
Well, I think it's like I don't think we need a bow tie of Roche's story. And maybe we didn't get it yet because, like, he's gone, but not. So maybe there is more story for him in the black cloaks or the black robes. But I do think it was put there to really show people that it's like, these people you know are becoming black cloaks, and it's happening more and more. And to see Hojo with, Roche, you're like, oh, he was actually experimented on. We hear in this chapter, because this is a facility to treat those that have Mako poisoning, which all have black cloaks, very weird. They have needle like marks in their hands. And we saw Roche getting a needle from Hojo, right? So I think it's just like to help connect it all. Probably could have been done in a better way, but I think that's why it was put here. And to make us also feel bad because and question who else could be a black robe that we either saw die or that's vulnerable to whatever Sephiroth has planned for them.
I think that was a long way of telling a story of showing Cloud what happens when you turn. I think that's the whole point of Roche's story, but I don't know if that was needed in that case. Which brings me to my next question. Chris, I'll go to you. Is Cloud actually turning into a black robe? Or, I had a little theory, is he just following Sephiroth's bidding? And he actually won't turn, but Sephiroth is using that to think or to get into Cloud's head, and there actually is no degradation at all because maybe he's a super soldier.
I totally thought that Sephiroth was feeding him this information. I wasn't sure if he was actually, like, if this was like a memory or if this was just like a thought that Sephiroth was purposely putting out to Cloud. Make him think, oh, this is what's happening. And again, it's all about the puppet master. It's like, I'll show you this. Oh, you're going to, basically bring him to you, almost in like a Harry Potter sense, right? When Voldemort was doing that to Harry, I'm like, oh my God, like, is this what's happening here? Cause it felt very familiar, but I didn't think that it was sort of like Cloud. Like, I honestly thought the whole time it's like Sephiroth was telling him, hey, come this way.
Do you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think, like, I agree with you, Chris. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a Cloud thing, especially because it's been happening for so long. And, like, for Roche, we just saw him have this experiment on Hojo. I think before Roche as well. And this may be like maybe a hint that the game's trying to tell us. Before Roche, even with the innkeeper in Calm, I forgot his name. Sorry, dude. Who's now Black Robe. But with him, we didn't know how long he was infected or maybe experimented on or how long that could have been. But we are seeing the time now with Hojo experimenting on Roche. And it's actually not too long after that Roche becomes this black robe. Whereas if it's the same for, Cloud, it's either he is a super soldier and isn't able to, like, come to the full effects of Hojo's experiment, or maybe he has another connection with Sephiroth that is separate than Hojo's experiment, or maybe he's just, like, really, or something, maybe the presence of Aerith is making him like immune to it, like some other factor. So I don't think that he'll become a black robe. And this is probably, like we talked about, is this a like live link that like, Sephiroth has with Cloud, or is this like maybe a shadow messages, like messages of like past self for Cloud? I don't know. There's still a lot we don't know about that whole situation.
Yeah, it makes me think if he maybe already would have turned if it wasn't for Sephiroth needing him to get the black materia. Because he keeps saying soon, like he needs Cloud to do something for him.
Yeah.
And then maybe he's preventing that from happening. Anyway.
Yeah. Cloud's a strong dude.
That is all the theories I have today. Both of you, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Yes. So I looked it up. The other options.
Yes.
When you meet Vincent Valentine. So if you say Wutai, Yuffie actually interrupts and says, "Excuse me?"
And that's
and then it goes back to the selection.
Okay.
And then you could choose then to say Shinra. And then Kate interrupts and says, "You mean phonemies or like faux friends or something like that, like trying to like faux favorites or something, like it was a misspoken thing from Cloud," and then it forces the Sephiroth interaction.
So Chris was right.
Yeah, Chris was right. Chris is always right. And also, like, honestly, Chris, I think we like, from both of us, I'm speaking for Nick now, but we really do appreciate your gameplay and everything that you do here in AutoSave. Very integral to the show.
As bad as it might be sometimes.
Never. Maybe the box throwing.
Yeah, oh, God, no more boxes.
Shout out your socials before we go, Chris. Where can you find
you can find me on every platform at Chris Zaiser.
That's it. That's as simple it is. And take a watch of his gameplay. If you get lost, he might get you more lost, or he might help you. You never know.
No, he'll definitely get you more lost, but then it's going to come to the help.
We'll eventually sort through all the boxes, and we'll come out the other side stronger than ever.
We love you. We love you. Well, Cam, we are going to continue with Chapter 12 next week, and we might get to see if there is an answer on if Kate is on our side or on Shinra's side.
Cloud, you got a minute? There's something I failed to mention about the Temple of the Ancients. You might call it a legend or a warning.
Uh-huh.
You see, no one who goes into the temple ever comes out again. No one. And I'm wondering if you really want to take everyone to a place like that.
You said it yourself. It's just a legend.
I did, aye, but...
Let's focus on finding Dio and the Keystone for now.
But we'll find out what that Scottish bastard is up to next week on AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Camille Salazar-Hadaway and myself, Nick Andrade. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Zaiser. Technical production by Greg Philly. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now, and if it happens to be Apple Podcast, kindly leave us a rating and review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original, hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.